Jenny-Jaymes and now sidekick Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Good morning, everyone. We're another edition or October edition of Two Queers in the Truck. If you're seeing this on the first day we release it, it is the first Wednesday of October already. And,
Yeah.
Wow. You know, September just flew by. It just burned through. Like it just, I don't know. It just. You know, typically speaking, you know, it's normally, and this summer has been really, really long. Like it just seemed really long. And I love summer, but part of me is kind of excited about fall. And of course, I always love Halloween. So October is one of my favorite months of the year because I love Halloween. I love dressing up. It's just so festive. It's the favorite holiday of this Halloween to Easter run of different major holidays, drinking holidays and all this by far. I mean, from childhood to now to semi-adulthood, I will always love Halloween. I love everything about Halloween. I love pumpkins. I love it all. I'm a basic bitch. I love pumpkin spice. So one of the few basic things about me. But anyway, this is Two Queers in a Truck, and I wanted to start off with something kind of funny, and I get reminded of it again because I have friends out in Vegas, but some of them are from Texas originally, and they were tweeting there's a Whataburger that's going to open up in Vegas. I think it's actually opening up this week. Or it's already opened up, and the Texas people, of course, they're chattering. Oh, we're so excited at Whataburger. Of course, I comment over this. Every time I see somebody post about Whataburger, I always say it's overrated. That if you really want true Texas, quick dining, fast food cuisine at its best, it's Taco Cabana for me. I couldn't give two craps about Whataburger. Their burgers are overrated and their fries are awful. And sorry, Whataburger. I guess I will get a sponsorship deal.
Exactly.
But Taco Bell, if you happen to be, Taco Cabana, not Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Taco Cabana, if you happen to watch this, please bring some Taco Cabana sweet goodness or tortillas. I'm pretty sure have crack cocaine in them because they're so good. And they're so addictive.
I just had one. I just had 3 today.
Oh my gosh, those tortillas. It's
very good.
There's just something different. I don't know.
It's the lard.
I think it's the lard, and probably they bottle San Antonio River water. I don't know. I don't know what they do. It's probably
they do something.
I'm sure it's not good for you because it tastes so good. And and their food's just good. It's really inexpensive. It's in the same price range as Taco Bell, but so much better. Like you want to taste really true San Antonio old school recipes, Tex-Mex. Taco Cabana is phenomenal, and you wouldn't think a fast food place, but they are legit. And I don't really know what other than Whataburger started in Texas, to me, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what makes it so Texas.
There's something about the onions. I don't know if it's they caramelize the onions or something. There's a taste in there that I've tried to figure out too, and I think it has to do with how they do the onions. Most people just like slice the onions and put them on, or chop, whatever. And I think they caramelize their onions because there's just a very unique taste. I agree.
I don't know. There's just something, and I know tons of Texans.
Yeah.
Whether they live abroad, like here in North Carolina, or they live in the mothership of craziness. They still live in Texas. I don't know. I guess it's like some of the other legendary burger chains, like In-N-Out and
In-N-Out, yeah.
All the other that are identified with a specific region.
Yes.
And they say the same thing. And then some people, there's a fried chicken place here in Charlotte, Bojangles, that has deep history here. Again, not a fan.
Yeah. Neither am I. Yeah.
I'm not a fried chicken fan. And then the only thing that's interesting about that place is it does have different layers of grease that's both in the air and on the floor. Even the new ones. It's like they truck in grease. They put a new one in South Charlotte when I first moved here. The floors were greasy the first day. I was like,
how is that possible?
Like that's magical, Did you just like put a little, instead of putting degreaser on the floor, you go in with a sprayer of grease and water? I don't know.
Just to make it feel welcoming for people who are used to it. Okay.
Yeah, kind of a seasoned feel, like it didn't Bojangles. There's wall to wall grease, and you hear your artery snapping shut. But I just was reminded of the Whataburger legend today. I saw somebody reposted it, and I just like shook my head and I went. They commented on that thread that was, or not the thread, but the tweet from I think it was a month or two ago from a friend of mine in Vegas, and I was just like, stop. Crazy news story. I think it was on Fox. I saw it tweeted. Apparently, trans women have an unfair biological advantage in catching fish and fishing.
What?
Yes. Now, very bizarre. I don't know. Obviously, it's not scientific or a study, but it wasn't one of the lead conservative reporters. It was just one of the many talking heads on Fox. They actually were seriously impugning specifically trans women.
Okay.
And it's having unfair advantage in fishing. And I don't know if a trans women are winning like fishing contests, like bass fishing, or I don't know why it's even important. I don't know enough about sport fishing to know if there's some kind of like Olympic equivalent to the Olympics, or I'm sure there is, but I don't know though. Everybody I've ever, and I haven't fished much in my life,
except for a compliment.
Yeah, well, I always get there. I don't even have to fish for that. I've noticed that non-trans cisgendered women do exceptionally good, and I wouldn't think your genitalia or your gender would make you a better fisher person. I've seen. I think it's more just the calmness and the patience, and just the because I've seen all different types of people fish really well, and some people don't have the patience for it, like me. Like sitting in a little dinky boat, waiting to hook something that swims at the bottom of one of them really nasty Texas lakes. I personally, like, I'm not going to. I don't really want to eat it. After all the fuel that's dumped in those lakes, and beer cans and all kinds of other good old crustiness, and backed up septic systems. Where I don't know. I think I'd rather come from a fish farm personally if I'm going to eat it, and to be sitting there fishing, I'd rather watch paint dry. I would rather watch the NFL. I would.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who fish, and I do as well if I have an opportunity, and it's relaxing. It's similar to gardening. Now I don't necessarily. I guess I can fish by myself. I have, but it's fun to fish with someone and just to kind of relax. And it's more of a social thing,
Yeah.
I mean, serious fishing, yeah.
And I've never fished by myself. The only time I've fished in my life, especially as a child, it was in family settings and social settings, things like that. Especially when I was really young, I had a grandparent that had a lake house, and so it was very common for many of us to drive over there during the day and fish and hang out, and it was a recreation. It was a little small recreational lake in North Texas, near Wichita Falls, Texas, and it was not, it wasn't like going to the corporate to do it, but it was fun. It's super hot, in certain times of the year, and so we preferred to get out onto the water. But yeah, a lot of the family members fished. I would fish every once in a while. But I can't. The fact that it's just they're trying to come up with another reason to vilify trans people, specifically trans women. I don't know any famous trans women fisher people. Like I don't. Like I mean, I'm stumped for the answer on this because there's so few of us, and I can't imagine us dominating that sport. And I honestly never seen a trans person that's already came out and fished. So but the alt-right's losing it or grabbing at straws or all the other stuff is getting laughed at.
They are obsessed with that.
Well, it's a bizarre line. Like I don't get the other hate and why they have made up reasons for us being spokespeople for Bud Light or whatever. But I'm thinking the fishing thing is just like, okay, it must be really slow in the newsroom today. But that is our indicator. We're up against our first break with Two Queers in a Truck, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, I've got a special product out, and we've got a store under the name blueappliedtech.com, and you can go on our Etsy store, you can go on our social media, and you can check out our merchandise. We have some amazing snowflake Trump mugshot ornaments. We have mugs, we have pillow covers, we have a lot of cute stuff for the holiday season that you can buy. And it's great fun, and it goes to a good cause. It goes to my company, and it's helping us out getting started. And also, who doesn't want a historic snowflake Trump ornament?
Exactly.
This year.
That's funny. What's the name of it again?
And the name of the company is Blue, like the color blue, applied APPLIED Tech. Like technology.
Blue Applied Tech. Ah, cool.
And so you can look us up. We have a website, but our stores on Etsy, and a lot of people use Etsy for different types of great gifts. They are assembled in the United States, so it creates American jobs, and most of all, it's a lot of fun, and they're not expensive.
Cool.
So,
Blue Applied Tech. Got it.
Correct. Come seek us out and buy some gifts.
Cool.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying there. So enjoy the Two Queers of Tribe on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye. Happy time. And we are back. There was a lot of news, a little rush for news right before we started filming. But it's honestly not been a real big news week other than possible budget shortfalls and things like that. But Nick Adams, MAGA Nick Adams, is going off. This time his target is Taylor Swift. And so he said, and of all people that he was comparing Taylor Swift to, he was saying Bobert, our good friend Bobert, that she is a version of high class or as classy, and was referring to Taylor Swift as trashy. Now, I am not a Taylor Swift expert. I do like her music. And I'm going to say I've never heard of her referred to as trashy.
Yeah. Well, hey, and I apologize, but who's Nick Adams?
Nick Adams is another, he's another one of these like talking head, MAGA.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's kind of like Dr. Jordan Peterson, or the big conspiracy guy, the chubby one that got sued.
InfoWars guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Nick Adams is kind of that same genre, but less successful, as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't get the biggest. He pops up with some stupid stuff every once in a while, like this. He's trying to, grift off, making money off MAGAs and gullible people, and getting the rating scores and the clicks and the clickbait stuff and all that. But yeah, Nick Adams, I was like, at the timing of it, the fact that he said it this week, and like, did you not see any of the news about just recently about Bobert's little Beetlejuice fades? I'm like, I think I'm picking MAGA. I did. Maybe there just didn't want really. Like he did use a picture of her in this really nice dress and all that. And not that Bobert's not attractive. She's she is attractive. She is pretty. But classy is not one of the adjectives over you. I mean, if
I don't think anybody says, "Oh, that classy Laura Boebert." That's not.
It's a hell of a reach. Like even niggas have a tough time saying that. They go, "Well, she supports gun rights and Jesus." And things of that nature. But I wouldn't necessarily put her in the class category when she's posing with guns with her former husband and her kids, or any of the other cuckoo for Cocoa Puff stuff she's done. Even leaving the live theater escapades of the last few weeks. It's just very, very bizarre. Like I don't know what would deem. Maybe I don't understand what classy is or trashy, because clearly, and why pick Taylor Swift? Is it because she's hyper successful and one of the top selling artists of all time, and her world tour just sold out, like literally, like within seconds, like Ticketmaster or whoever was selling her tickets was like melting down and having computer crashes because her tickets sold so fast. And And I think probably because she also squared off with Kanye or whatever name he's going by these days. It's so, she's strong. Taylor Swift has always been very opinionated, supports the LGBT community. And maybe because she's a flaming liberal, maybe that's the whole, but I'm like, I would, Nick Adams maybe want to watch out because first of all, Nick Adams is really a nobody because you didn't even know who he was. And second, the Swifties, her army of fans, may dox him. They may find out that he likes to wear frilly dresses and it's like show tunes, and they may Madison Butler him. I'm telling you right now, all 3 of his posts that have ever become viral, he may go viral in the wrong way. It may not be the wisest target. Like I think I'd probably pull that tweet down or whatever they call them. Yeah. I don't know. Do they still even call them tweets now that it's X, or do they call them X's?
I have no idea. I haven't been on Twitter since before probably June.
Yeah.
So
I pull some of my news stories from Twitter.
Yeah.
Some from the different news feeds, and I was scrolling today because I didn't have time earlier to write the show, and we're doing this. We've been going back to the morning tapings, but this week we had to change our schedules to accommodate a special guest in our coffee show. And so normally I write my show Tuesday night. Now I was like, I'm still writing on Tuesday night, but I'm doing it in a few minutes. In fact, I was attending one that I had a Zoom meeting before this, and I was writing my show while trying to listen to the content. So I was doing double duty, if the truth be told. But I had my camera off so they could not tell that I was doing more than one thing besides listening to them. But anyway, today they also, federal court in Texas, overturned the drag ban or the drag restrictions. Conservatives are livid over that. The courts decided First Amendment free speech, that businesses and performers cannot be censored for reason. And just like all the other I'm not going to say never. I'm going to say it'll be a sad day if free expression and free speech that does not harm people, like drag, like burlesque, and so many other performing arts. The only reason drag is being targeted is because it's predominantly queer people that perform it. Not all. There's a small drag performers, very few. But it's one of those bizarro things that I'm just like, what if we started trying to ban tractor pools and I don't know what I don't really know what rednecks like. I guess fishing tournaments. Yeah. Now that trans women have invaded fishing tournaments, maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to boycott all fishing tournaments. I don't know. They're running out of things to like and dislike. For one thing, they lost one of their favorite beers, Bud Light. They can't show up at Target. They're not supposed to go to Disney. Even though all the homeschool nuts in Florida actually do get season passes at Disney. Don't tell DeSantis. But it's kind of bizarre. I never thought in my lifetime that drag would become a target of the conservatives. I'm shocked they even know the drag queens even exist. Other than, I guess, with Madison Cawthorn and Lady Graham, I guess maybe they told them or something, including and say, hey, there's this thing where men dress up as women and a few trans women too, and they dance and they put up on clown makeup and just have a good time. They even have that RuPaul chick. She's been doing it for years under our radar. You know, it's just it's just so weird. It's some of the things they get upset about that aren't important. You know, like drag. I'm just like, of all things, you know, like y'all should worry about more about those pedophile, you know, priests and things like that. You know, that seems like that would be more important.
Exactly. They need to worry more about their spouses on dating apps than
yeah. Or going to a live performances of Beetlejuice.
That's right.
and not realizing there's security cameras in here that just show everything, you know. And
exactly.
This is 2023. People have security cameras everywhere. Like you can't not get caught anymore. Like with people with cell phones and the proliferation of technology and the fact that bandwidths and computing speeds are so fast. I mean, there's, you know, it's why there's so many video podcasts and audio podcasts is because of technology, that anybody with the minimum amount of technology can make a show. You can make a live show, a recorded show. You don't have to have a huge amount of production equipment. It doesn't have to be specialized anymore. And I mean, of videos and comedy in his front yard, especially during the pandemic. And it's a world now where if you're going to act stupid, especially out in public, you're going to get recorded. And if it's really stupid and problematic, like racism, things like that, you best not do public stuff anymore. Or like the crazy person in North Carolina that said she went to Mexico, recorded the TikTok, and she said she smelled bad for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Well, that was a little over a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about this time because it came up in my Snapchat, and I was like,
that was crazy.
What an idiot. It was very bizarre.
Yeah.
Protest these drag performances, you just go, if you hate gay people and trans people so much, why would you go where they perform?
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I'm going to go to some kind of hoedown. Or old Mac, you know, or Warren Bobbert's backyard. You know, like I don't want to see her speak live. I don't want to be around them. I have no interest. I don't have any interest in going to Proud Boys marches and demonstrations and their own little pride parades or whatever they do. I've got no interest in seeing them, you know. And so I think it's so bizarre that they're obsessed with us. I think it just says a lot. It's almost like the kids that dropped out of high school but still want to hang out on high school steps.
Yeah, with a leather jacket.
And so there's a lot of and I'm sure there's a few Proud Boys that maybe, you know, find drag queens attractive. But anyway, we're up against our second break here on Two Queers in a Truck. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in a Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, boo. Happy time. We are back. A new survey came out this week, and it was with a online company called Wallet Hub, and they rated the 5 unhappiest states. So number 5 is, surprise, surprise, Kentucky. Number 4 is Arkansas. Number 3 is Tennessee. Number 2 is Louisiana, and number 1 is West Virginia. River Kentucky states, there is a substantial amount of inbreeding there in those states, and a tremendous amount of poverty and violence. And I just find it, and I'm not shocked. There's literally no really major cities in any of those states except for maybe Tennessee. You can consider Nashville and Memphis major cities, but they're not major hubs like some other cities are in the region, like a Dallas or something like that. And not a lot of success in those states. They tend to do drag queen bands and attack trans kids, and are generally just really backwards, very racist, homophobic places. And so we're really shocked that those states are the top 5, and I mean, I wouldn't want to live in any of those. I've never lived in any of those.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee is probably the closest one I may live in.
Sure.
Because Memphis is kind of neat.
Okay.
But I don't think I would last very long. It was bordered by Arkansas and Mississippi. So I'm not, that's not really a vacation hub for me. But I mean, and Memphis is probably, and I've been to Memphis many times years ago, and I've been to Tunica, which is the gambling city across the border in Mississippi. And that can be kind of fun for a couple of days. It's like a redneck Vegas. And, but honestly, when you think about Tennessee, I mean, how much quality of life can you have in Tennessee? And for sure, Kentucky.
Nashville. Nashville's a very modern city. It's Nashville's one of the fastest growing cities in America. It's been compared to Austin.
Now, well,
not by me, but by magazines and stuff. Yeah. They've compared it to Austin.
I think before the Tennessee government really went off the rails the last couple of years, I would tend to agree. I think a lot of entertainers have left Nashville and gone to other places. Just because Tennessee's hardline conservative government that they have now, the chicanery and expelling, the 2 black state legislatures and things like that. I think it's taken a big hit. And I know a lot of companies that aren't in a rush to move or invest in Nashville anymore, like they were maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And I do agree. I lived in Missouri. Nashville was a pretty hopping city. It was getting a lot of investment, and it kind of reminded me of a smaller Charlotte in a lot of ways. But we've seen such a shift or a backlash since the era of Trump. They really did themselves no favors, and honestly, taking these hard lines on these social issues that aren't even really issues. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that all those states on that list. I'm considering the recent history and behaviors, and people like Mitch McConnell that represent Tennessee. I mean, Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
If you look at these states, there's a parallel to all this really aggressive hardline attacks on social issues, predominantly with the LGBT community, is almost a mirror image of some of the worst states to live in if you're queer. Just had that gay doctor in Louisiana that was the only pediatrician / cardiologist. He was an expert in his field. And the only one that was in Louisiana, and he said it's become so hard to live there and have a family, and him and his husband and their 2 kiddos. It was just miserable. They said we can't live here anymore. It's just gotten so insane. And that says a lot because the guy made good money. It was had a lot of privilege, had a lot of the deal. And if he's feeling uncomfortable and probably living in a nice gated community and the whole 9 yards, like he wasn't living in a unsafe neighborhood. But if they're even feeling the heat, you can just imagine what lower socioeconomic circles that struggle just to eat and survive must be feeling. And when you cause a decent size of the population to be miserable, it affects other people. It affects the people that they love. It affects the people that are the allies, and and ultimately, in the bottom line, a lot of companies don't want, they want to move to a place or add a location or invest into a state that's going that direction. So, truth be told, it doesn't help those states to be that miserable or stupid. And so, but anyway, our last section is a double header. We have a judge ruled today that Trump did indeed defraud banks and violate tax code in the civil suit in New York. Of course, Eric Trump immediately responded and said he's lost faith in the judicial system and blah, blah, blah. But this happened for like decades, and that's what the judge was like. This happened a long time, and it was before Trump was president. So calling in question the specific valuations that Trump came and his team and certain people came up with to borrow money against certain specific properties and a whole bunch of other things that over time got called into question. And they're just like, hey, the more famous he got, the more they peeled back the curtains. So, yeah, there's some stuff here, and most of all, that Hillary Clinton was right about a lot of this stuff. At the same time, we had almost kind of another related deal. Katie Porter, a congresswoman from California, was raking the pharmaceutical industry over the coals because the pharmaceutical companies don't want transparency and profits or pricing. They were trying to blame it on middlemen. The problem is there's websites like, I think it's like Pharma RX or something like that Mark Cuban does, and he has not only do they have aggressively low prices on a lot of mainstream prescription medications, but has a very transparent pricing schedule and it's very easy to follow and all that. So his site's kind of becoming the evidence that it's BS that these pharmaceutical companies are going. In essence, y'all have made it really murky to the public so that you can justify higher prices. And the higher prices than pretty much any of our planetary neighbors like Mexico and Canada pay so much less for the exact same drugs from the mostly American pharmaceutical companies. And you go across either the northern border or the southern border, and you can buy it for 80%, 90% less in those countries than you can in the United States. Even though it's mostly predominantly American companies. And so it's very, very bizarre, very, very crooked, and the same way with Trump, he got away with all this tax cheating and all this defrauding of banks, and for so long, he's now in a lot of trouble. This is a very serious civil court loss. I'm sure he's going to appeal it, but the chickens are starting to come to roost in our society. Whether it's pharmaceuticals, because people are literally passing away because they can't afford their medications, and can't even afford to be on insurance. And I think these are the things that came out of the MAGA movement that Trump just let run wild. didn't protect Americans, and especially middle class and lower socioeconomic groups that are near or close to poverty or in poverty. And we've got to address these things. I don't know how you feel about it, but I know a lot of people struggle to even stay on medications, including maintenance medications like insulin and stuff like that, because of costs. It's kind of spooky, and kudos for the prosecutor or the state of New York for going after Trump and holding him accountable.
Yeah.
And kudos for politicians like Katie Porter that are going to continue to advocate for the general buying public, no matter who they are, to keep pharmaceutical companies from unduly charging Americans more than what other countries are paying. It's just bizarre.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Trump has no one to blame but himself. I mean, we say that all the time. We sound like broken records now. I mean, if he'd just not been such a dick and so openly arrogant and a dick, then the justice system wouldn't go after. They go after. I mean, the reality is, when you're a big fish like him and you boast and you say stuff that's not true, eventually people start to fact check you. And so, I mean, George Santos is a perfect example. He said he's been lying his whole life. It wasn't until he got elected to a high position that people started going, oh my God, he's been lying. No, he's been lying his whole life. And Trump has been lying his whole life as well. And so, I mean, even in his statement that you talked about, Jenny, he lied. He says something about, or you mentioned it, about his faith in the justice system. That he's one of the great American success stories and all that kind of stuff. And he said, a judge who hates me, I've never before have I seen such hatred towards one person by a judge. So apparently this judge hates him more than the DC judge, who hates him more than the Atlanta judge. So, it's like he just continues to just add someone's name. But more importantly, and I think people have to remember, if you even remember, Trump's attorneys did not want a jury trial. They wanted the judge to make the decision. And they didn't want the jury trial because they were afraid of the publicity of a jury trial. And so they wanted this judge to make that decision. They could have had a jury trial. And he posted yesterday, I wasn't even given the benefit of a jury trial. So everything he says is so baloney. Now his followers, they will repeat that stuff. But I hope the middle people like Barbara, suburban women, all those people who hopefully will wake up, more educated people, just get so sick and tired of him, like we're sick and tired of him. Just get so sick and tired of him and say, it's just too crazy. I don't care if he's polling 60% with Republicans. At the end of the day, the polling has nothing to do with who's actually going to go out and vote.
Yeah. We saw that in 2016 when
exactly.
Hillary was up.
When Hillary was
he came out of the convention, the Democratic convention, he was up like 15, 18 points consistently all over the country. Yeah. She looked like a slam dunk. And we saw they got closer to the election and Trump cranked up the lie machine. And even the pre-election, like the last weeks leading up to the election, she was still up consistently 5 to 10 points in most states. Still looked like she was going to win tons of electoral college votes. It just looked like an absolute win. We all know what happened. She didn't lose the popular vote, but she did lose the electoral college vote by a fairly narrow margin, but she lost. And it was, it was a devastating loss that an incompetent idiot became president. You put the politics aside, it is the dude didn't do anything right as president. He was a terrible president. And even the data shows it, and some of the most outrageous things that happened in this presidency, even excluding the last year with COVID and the worldwide pandemic, there was a tremendous amount of issues leading up to that. His 17, 18, and 19 were not good years. And there was a lot fundamentally going wrong in this country that his administration completely ignored. Or didn't have the brains to address it, and violence was on the rise. There were so many, economic issues. The spread between the wealthy and the middle class became an all-time high. You have businesses, oligarchies that are running roughshod over democracy. And he cut more regulations and more consumer protections, and now the next president, which is Biden, has to go and clean all this crap up, and just you can go on and on. There's a list of just absolute incompetences that this idiot did because he wasn't writing his policies of his administration, and it was the crazy kooks that put him in the office, the large, tremendous PACs that they just said, we want this cut, we want this change. We don't want, trans people in the military, whatever crazy things that his administration got driven to do. He just went with it. He says, they bought me, they put me in an office. I'm going to do what those people say. And it's proof positive when you have a weak-willed, idiotic human being in the presidency, bad things are going to happen, whether it was Bush or Trump or Papa Bush or anything in between. When you're a president with nefarious reasons to be president, you're going to be in trouble. And our country has suffered enough at the hands of the Republican Party. And that's just all there is to it.
I agree.
You just can't explain this. Largest amount of people in poverty in history by the time his presidency ended. So many things, so many companies were allowed to gouge us with no consequences because they did not fear that the Trump administration would stop it. And inflation started rising way before he left office. And then the pandemic, kicked in the greed inflation. And so, it just became just a terrible situation. But that's all we have to, we went probably just slightly over and just gabbering because that's what we do. And it's late at night and my brain's fading. But anyway, thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck. And we will see you next week. Bye, Boo.
Bye, Boo.
Thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck, and happy October, and Halloween is just around the corner. One of my favorite seasons of the year, and enjoy that fall weather, and unless it's cold where you're at. But have a great week, and we'll just dance out if you can see this.
That's right. Bye, Boo.
Bye, Boo. Hey, thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck, and Christian and I just blathering on about craziness in the world today. Y'all be safe out there. There is a lot of Republicans on the road.
That's right.
Have a good week out there.
Bye.